Oh, it's Redhead Takes. You're back with another video. Today I was thinking of a video idea to do. I was thinking today, what movies cross the $1 billion mark? How many are there? Well, there are 53 to be exact. And here's a list of all 53 movies ranked from best to worst. I got the categories right here, and we'll go through all of them. I'm sure some of you out there aren't going to agree what I have to say, but I can't please everybody. This is still my list, and if you want to make your own list and tell me about it, go ahead. Go in the comments. Tell me where you would rank all of these, and let's have a good discourse in the comments below. We don't need to call each other names. We can just, agree to disagree. It's movies. It's about as queer, different tastes as there are possible out there. So let me know what you think down in the comments below, and let's rank all 53 blockbuster movies to break the $1 billion mark. And let's start off with the categories. Timeless works of cinema, best of all time, of course. Great works of entertaining art. These are the ones that are just so great, but they're still missing something. They're still missing a little art of filmmaking that makes it a master class all-timer. Then we have the good but not great. Then we have the average forgettable blockbusters, the ones that you watch for a day and then the next day, oh, forgot. And we have the guilty pleasure movies. There's probably going to be a few in here that are just like, yeah, I know they're bad, but I just can't help but watch. It's just kind of awesome at times. Absolutely unwatchable pieces of garbage, and the ones that I haven't seen. But let's go through them one by one, starting with Alice in Wonderland. I completely forgot this movie made $1 billion because it's really not that great. It's very average. I mean, give it to Johnny Depp. He gives it his all as the Mad Hatter, and it kind of feels like Lewis Carroll's classic novel, but at the same time, it's just so weird. Even for Alice in Wonderland, the movie is very strange. I barely remember it. I only remember a few bits and pieces. I remember the Jabberwocky scene at the end. Queen of Hearts isn't too memorable. I mean, Johnny Depp is the most memorable thing about this movie. I don't even remember Mia Wasikowska, I believe, played Alice, and she did a decent job, I guess, but it just leaves a lot to be desired. I mean, it could have been a lot better, but it's one of those movies you watch, you enjoy, it comes about the next day, and they're like, oh, forgot. Next, we have Skyfall, one of the better entries in the Daniel Craig era. Of course, he returns to his childhood home. I love the Adele theme song that goes with the songs. I think it's one of the best theme song 007 has ever seen. Got, of course, Judi Dench in her last role. God, I can't remember the villain's name right now, but it's a great film, very exciting. It gets down and dirty. I mean, by all accounts, Daniel Craig in this movie shouldn't even be allowed to be out in the field. But because he's Daniel Craig and because he's 007, he still gets to do his thing. And it's just a great climactic ending and a great way to send out Judi Dench. Next, Frozen. Now, Frozen is good the first time you watch it. Second time around, it gets worse. The third time around, it gets even worse still. And the fourth time around, you're just like, I don't want to watch it anymore. And I mean, for kids' purposes someday, yes, I'll actually watch it. But, I mean, the songs are fine, but they're grating after a while. If you're not a kid, you're probably going to like it maybe the first couple times, but it's going to wear on you. It just is. In secondary viewing, second, third, fourth viewings, it just loses a lot of its luster. The plot is very basic, even for a kid's film standards. I mean, remember when Disney had good stories that were timeless, you could watch over and over, and they still made sense all the way through. This one just doesn't hold a candle to those of Beauty and the Beast, Hunchback of Notre Dame, Aladdin, Lion King. It just doesn't hold a candle to those. It really doesn't. Not a lot of big moral lessons in this one. Just be who you want to be, basically, and let it be. Next, Sorcerer's Stone. Again, very average. When I first saw this in the theaters as a kid, I enjoyed it. But looking back at it now, I just like I like the I like the later ones more. They get a little more adult. They get more darker. And I like it when the Harry Potter scenes get darker. This movie is a total kids movie for sure. It's all about the magic. So the effects are kind of dated now, but it's still a classic. And I mean, it's still for any young Harry Potter fan that hasn't read the books. Yeah, you'll enjoy it if you're young. But if you're like me and you've watched them a lot, the first two really don't hold a candle to the rest of them. They really don't. And it was a big deal when this movie made $1 billion. I mean, it was right around after 9/11, escapism. That's what really helped project this movie further. I mean, it was a book series that everybody was reading at the time, so it's not surprising that it made the amount of money that it did. In terms of the quality of the film, it's fine. It's fine. It's another Christopher Columbus movie, and a lot of people out there may have varying opinions about him, as if he's a hack, if he's a good director. Who really knows? I mean, I guess leave it up to each individual person. I, for one, think he's kind of hacky at times, but he made a decent film in this. If you're a kid, you'll love it. If you're like me, you'll yearn for the later movies much more. Return of the King, absolute masterwork. This movie's flawless. This movie is literally flawless. There's not a shot, there's not a sound, there's not a sword swing that feels out of place. Everything feels right. Everything came in perfectly. It just works so well. It molds like clay in your hands. Again, watch the extended editions over theatrical cut. After you watch the extended editions of any of these movies, you're like, toss out the theatrical version, never watch it again, because these are big movies, and for my money, a lot of the stuff that was cut out of each and every one of these movies, especially this one, a lot of the best stuff is cut out. A lot of the great Faramir moments are cut out. Of course, Saruman's end is cut out. Houses of Healing, Aragorn luring Sauron to the final party. You have a couple Gollum scenes that are cut out. There's just a lot in this movie that's cut out that makes for a better movie overall. But even as a theatrical cut, it's flawless as well. There's a couple scenes that were cut out of it in the long run that should have been in there. But you know how movies have to be cut down to like a certain amount of time, especially back then. And still masterwork. Couldn't be better. If this movie ever gets remade, it's going to be terrible. It just is. There's no doubt the most Oscar award winning film of all time deserves to be at the top. It really does. And then we follow one of its peers in terms of money made, Titanic. I love Titanic. I unabashedly love Titanic. I know it's cheesy. I know that some of the acting is really bad. It has Billy Zane and everything. But the whole story of the Titanic is absolutely fascinating. Absolutely fantastic. I love this movie. I will not hear slander about it. You can make fun of me all you want in the comments below. But I love this movie unabashedly. Yes, it's very long. And yes, Jack and Rose should have survived on the slab. They both should have survived. Yes, absolutely. And the reasoning for cutting her down is dumb, and that whole deleted scene about everybody on crew watching the old lady throw the heart of the ocean into the ocean is something that's better not seen, to be honest. Going back, I just saw it for the first time a couple weeks or months ago, and I wish I'd never seen it. The real theatrical ending makes a lot more sense, but I love this movie unabashedly. So for me, actually, I'm gonna put it above Skyfall. For me, can't put it in Timeless Works a classic because there are some parts that are really nagging, really annoying, and it's really cheesy. But I enjoyed the hell out of this movie, and I don't feel sorry about it one bit. Next, I believe this is On Stranger Tides. Now, On Stranger Tides, on second viewing, it's the first time I watched it, just like it was fine. I mean, but on second viewings, it gets more and more forgettable. I mean, how dare you waste Ian McShane as Blackbeard? How dare you? I mean, he should have had so much more to work with. He was a perfect casting choice for Blackbeard. Penelope Cruz doesn't really make a lot of sense in it. It just a lot of your famous co-stars in there. Of course, um, there's no Will Turner. There's no Keira Knightley in this one. It's Jack on his own adventure, but I mean, it's still Jack Sparrow. Johnny Depp still gives it his best, and he's the main reason you watch these movies. Jeffrey Rush is in it. It just feels kind of way different than the character he saw in the previous films, but it's a fun movie. Just one that will not be remembered fondly after the next year, or just be forgotten, to be honest. Not one of my more favorites. Definitely on the lower end in the Pirates of the Caribbean rankings. Avengers Age of Ultron. Again, good, not great. I'll put it above Frozen. Fun movie. A little long at times. James Spader was perfect choice as Ultron. His dry, sarcastic wit is just a perfect choice. I love how all the Avengers have to go through their troubles. The Hulk armor. I love the climactic battle scene at the end. You have Iron Man at the bottom of Sokovia, or iron shotting, and then Thor bringing down the hammer on the top and the sea just explodes. That's just a cool shot. It just always is. Even though it's CG, it looks fucking awesome, even still to this day. Yes, Joss Whedon is kind of a hacky director, of course, but this movie is fun nonetheless. Definitely on the lower end of the adventure films, but still a very great, enjoyable watch for me. Fast and the Furious 7. I haven't seen it. I've heard it's really good. I heard it's a great send off for Paul Walker before his tragic death, but sad to say that this was his last film. It really is. Deathly Hallows Part 2. I think this movie is pretty good. Maybe we'll put it down here. I don't think it's perfect. It's really not perfect by any means, but I like the dark nature of this. It's a final battle between Harry and Voldemort. I mean, it's kind of a long movie, but going to Godric's Hollow or riding the dragon, the final climactic battle, Aberforth is great. It's just a fun time. I never liked the ending where they aged him really far. It just felt kind of off, or could have been a little better. This is just a personal opinion in my book. Ginny and Harry never should have been a couple. I should have believed it should have been Harry and Hermione would have been a much better couple. But old Joanne wanted it a certain way, and that's what we got. But it's a great conclusion to a great series, and it was certainly well deserving of all the money that it made. Again, this is a guilty pleasure me. I love Age of Extinction as a guilty pleasure. The Dinobots are fantastic. Grimlock is great. It does feel overly long at times. I like Mark Wahlberg's character in this. He's just fun. The battle scenes are really long and probably could have been shortened a little bit, but again, with the Optimus Prime riding Grimlock charging into battle will never not be awesome. I'm not going to be ashamed about that at all. It's just an awesome shot and always will be. Even though it ends on kind of a, Optimus Prime going out into space on his own, it's still a fun movie nonetheless. Jurassic Park. It's a definitely still good movie, entertaining. The CGI is aged like fine, like old milk. I mean, looking at the dinosaurs now compared to looking at it when it first came out, they don't look very good anymore. But it's still fun. Some of the dinosaur scenes still look great, but it's just when you see the brontosaurus or the long neck for the first time, it's like, oof, it has not aged well, but it's still a great time. Still full of suspense. The raptor scene at the end is fantastic. The motherfucking T-Rex scene throwing around raptors is great. It's just it's definitely it was the first movie. I believe it was the first movie to ever make $1 billion at the box office. And it was well deserving of it because no one had seen anything like this before, and it belongs near the top of the list. It's just not perfect because it has not aged very well. Because practical will always live on longer than CGI. Always will. I don't know. I like The Unexpected Journey. I watch it from time to time. It's still fun. The Goblin King is still weird. I love Gandalf taking out the trolls. Azog is a great villain. The works look pretty cool in this one. I don't know. There's not much to say. It's just a fun movie for me. Not the greatest in the series. Well, actually, maybe the best one of the three Hobbit films, but the Hobbit films are definitely a step below Lord of the Rings, the real Lord of the Rings trilogy, and that'll always be the case. As much as I enjoy them, they will still always be below the true trilogy. Dead Man's Chest, I think is really fun too. I think it's a fun plot. I love Davy Jones. Bill Nye's great choices. Davy Jones, the Kraken taking down Jack Sparrow. The battle on the water wheel is fun. The cannibal scene is fun while they're chasing the dog. It's just there's a lot of good fight scenes, and it was a little long at times, but the Black Pearl going down at the bottom at the end, and Jack Sparrow going into the Kraken, fighting it with it always will. It's a fun time. It's a fun time, and a great sequel to a great first film. Dark Knight Rises, fun movie. Still, it's a little long at times. Yeah, I know I'm not gonna get into the whole Tom Hardy Bane. I know a lot of things have been said about that. I don't mind his voice. I don't mind it at all. It's just fine. The twist at the end was I could see that coming a mile away. Of course, Marion Cotillard is Talia al Ghul. I mean, it's plain as day if you're paying attention. The fight scenes are pretty fun. I guess the real question is at the end of the movie, does Christian Bale survive? And yeah, I think he does. I think he found some way to avoid the blast. It just do. I mean, there's all the details at the end. There's a software patch put in by Bruce Wayne. It's like, I know they throw it in there, and then you see at the end Alfred seeing Bruce at the pub with Anne Hathaway's character. Anne Hathaway's not the greatest Batman or Batgirl, no, greatest Catwoman. Definitely could have been better. I mean, some of the fighting against the rich stuff is really annoying. Communism that way, because it's basically kind of what Bane is positioned as a communist warlord, more or less. But it's still a fun time. Lots of great action scenes. Just a little bit long for my taste at times. And also, when Bruce climbs out of that hole is a fun time. Although, looking at some of the prisoners, when he throws down that rope, and you're like, they look like they're 100 years old. It's like, there's no way in hell that some of those people, or a lot of those people in that prison, are climbing out their way out. They look ancient. They're old. But it's still a fun movie, nonetheless. The Dark Knight, definitely top tier. Classic crime drama, of course. I made a review of this movie a long time ago in the early days of my channel, so check that out. I mean, it's a little dated now. I would maybe like to rework it in the future, but in that video I made the contention that Heath Ledger's character is not just a Joker, but he's basically Satan. I mean, he's basically Satan causing chaos, no morality whatsoever, just chaos for chaos sake, killing people left and right, killing the mob bosses just because. We're setting Lao on fire. Um, that ingenious scene at the end where he's stuck in a building. It's just great drama, and he again, like Satan, he's the master manipulator, or turning Harvey Dent to the dark side, or turning him to spread a little anarchy with his two-sided coin, and great time. Still sad that Rachel wasn't able to make it, but you knew that was going to be the ultimate choice, that really only half of one person was saved, because of course, you know, half of Harvey's face was burned off, and then he became Two-Face. But fun movie, still will always live on as an absolute classic. I can't put it above Lord of the Rings: Return of the King, but still top tier masterclass of all time. One of the best movies ever made. It's in Dark of the Moon. Again, we're going to put this in Guilty Pleasure along with Age of Extinction. It's a little better. It's a great conclusion to the original trilogy. Sentinel Prime is a decent villain. Megatron is still there. I love when Shia LaBeouf gets to take down Patrick Dempsey's character. It's a fun time. I like the new Transformers in this one. Some of the baddies on the Decepticon side are kind of forgettable, but it's a fun action. Starscream meets his end in a great way. Megatron does as well. And as always, it's just a great conclusion. The plot is very basic. Very basic. It's just a fun time, nonetheless. Even though it's a guilty pleasure time, for sure. The Avengers, we'll put that right here. Again, one of the great box office smash you'll ever see. The Avengers Assemble moment, them finally coming together at the end. Still a great watch to this day. The effects hold up pretty well. I love the cameo by Powers Booth in this movie as the director. He's a fun time. Of course, Hulk smashing around Loki is always fun. Shawarma cutscene at the end, and it's just a fun time. I love it when they assemble. The surrounding shot of them all waiting to take on the Chitauri is fun, and then of course you see Thanos in the end cutscene, setting off a 6-year wait for when we finally got to see him on screen in his full glory. I love Phantom Menace. It's not great. It's not a great movie, but it's still fun. I mean, all these people hating on this movie is just like, why? It's a fun movie. The pod racing is fun. The battle scenes at the end are fun. Battle scenes with Anakin. Duel of the Fates. The duel, of course, between Qui-Gon, Darth Maul, Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan against Darth Maul is great. Yeah, that Captain Panic actor is terrible. But all those people that hated on Jake Lloyd, and I know he didn't go into psychotic break because of this movie, or he didn't quit acting because of that, but shame on you for hating on a kid actor. Shame on you. It's just absolutely terrible. And what happened to his life since then is absolutely a disgrace, and some of you people should feel real ashamed. I mean, it's just a kid actor. It's just a movie. It's just a movie. It's no reason to ruin people's lives over. There's no movie out there that you ever need to ruin someone's life over. It really is not. It's still a fun movie. Even though people always say the prequels suck. But when you look back at the prequels now, compared to the sequel trilogy, it's hands down better. Hands down. And anybody that says otherwise is lying to themselves. I don't know. Jurassic World was pretty forgettable. I don't really remember much of it. I mean, I do remember the Mosasaurus taking down the new villain dinosaur, but yeah, does not very memorable in my book. Avatar is still a great time. I'm gonna put this in the average forgettable. I mean, it's an experience the first time you watch it, but do you remember a lot of it? No, no one really remembers Avatar. It was still a great cinematic experience for its time, but it's not as great on second viewings. Iron Man 3 is average, very average as well. I mean, the villain is pretty obvious who it is. The Mandarin is stupid. It's a fun battle scene at the end, but the whole Gwyneth Paltrow being the sexiest woman alive just to promote this movie, that was so obvious she's not that great. And her Wonder Woman powers at the end is ridiculous. Extremis is kind of cool, but could have been done better. Just, again, really the only really great Iron Man movie is the first one. The other two are just forgettable. Toy Story 3 is a great movie. Definitely very emotional at the end. Did not cry, but I mean, it is moving watching Andy give away his toys. I mean, just a part of growing up. The villain is a total commie, but it's still a fun time. The animation still holds up so well. Great conclusion to a great series. And I know we got 4, but I just forget 4 exists. I really do. 3 is the true ending to the Toy Story franchise. Minions. I just don't remember it. I remember seeing it in theaters, but I don't remember much about it. Same thing with Force Awakens. We'll put that. Put that down there. Force Awakens still very forgettable. It's basically a cookie cutter of A New Hope, and of course you got Mary Sue Ray out of nowhere. Yeah, not much to it. And if you look at the Chinese box office of The Force Awakens, Poe was removed, almost like they don't like black people over there. Funny that. That's never talked about, but hey, it's true. Finding Dory, definitely not as good as the first one. Still a great time though. Yeah, I don't really remember too much about it, to be honest. Zootopia is a fun movie. Again, not one of those movies that I remember too much about. I think it's a fun little adventure. Judy Hopps and Jason Bateman's character is fun, as the fox is fun, but great animation. But the story is just kind of basic out there. Finding your own in the big city as a tiny rabbit saves the day, turning the carnivores into even bigger carnivores. Still a fun time though. I hate the live action version of Beauty and the Beast. I think it sucks. It's just awful. So forgettable. Skip it. Never watch it. The whole LeFou having a thing for Gaston is weird. Doesn't make any sense. The whole the black people as nobles in France in the 1700s is kind of ridiculous. That just wasn't there. But yeah, not a great movie by any stretch of the imagination. Very forgettable. Rogue One is fun. I say you watch the Battle of Scarif is fun. Most of the movie is pretty forgettable, but the end battle scene really feels like a war. Really makes Star Wars feel like a war, and the ending scene with Vader cutting through everybody is the strongest we've ever seen Vader, and it looks fantastic. But it's good, not great movie. Fate of the Furious, haven't seen that one yet. I've seen up to 6, but I haven't seen any of them after that. Civil War While I like the movie initially, I think on repeated viewings, I'll be fair. It's a good, not great movie. We'll put it right, right there. Um, I still like the movie, but um, it's Captain America for me all the way. It cannot be on Tony's side if you love freedom. You just can't do it. I mean, he basically says, give up your values for security. And just like the old Benjamin Franklin quote, those who would give up freedom and liberty for security desire or will get neither and deserve none. It's true as back then as it is today. Black Panther, ugh, it's so forgettable. It is so forgettable. I'm sorry. Second viewing, the first time I thought it was fine enough. And every other time I've tried to watch it, it's so hard to watch. It's just not great. It really isn't. That's not me being, racist or anything. It's just not a great movie. I mean, Killmonger's not a great villain. Again, he's just not a great villain, to be honest. But the action scenes are kind of forgettable. It just doesn't look as good anymore. It's just, one of those things. Fallen Kingdom, I'd never seen that. Let's go over the ones that I haven't seen. I haven't seen Dominion. Not gonna watch the Barbie movie, so I'm not gonna comment on that. Lion King, yeah, it's not great. It really isn't. Aquaman is kind of a guilty pleasure for me. I know it's not good, but I enjoy parts of it for whatever that's worth. Despicable Me 3 is good, not great movie. It's definitely the low point in the franchise, at least for me. Gru meeting his long lost brother, and his long lost brother being good and him being bad, and then switching at the end makes a lot of sense, but it's just not great, to be honest. Incredibles 2 is fun. It's a fun sequel. Don't think it's as good as the first one, and I really wish we could have seen more of Mr. Fantastic in the limelight, but they went with Mrs. Fantastic, and she's fine as the lead. The villain is fun. People being mind controlled by TV is a fun time. Animation is still very high quality, and it's just, I don't remember too much about it. When I watched it, it was fun, very entertaining, but I haven't watched it again since. Aladdin, yeah, just skip that. Oh yeah, Captain Marvel, yeah, I've definitely skipped that one. That movie just really sucks a lot. Again, I've made a point in the past that I enjoy. I don't know why I enjoy Rise of Skywalker. I can't justify it. Just for some reason, in my mind, I can imagine our true heroes being in the limelight of this, but just not. They killed off all our favorite heroes for no reason. Toy Story 4. I haven't seen it, and really have no intention to. Joker is very average for me. I just don't think we ever need to know the backstory of Joker. Joker is an enigma. I think Joker is a better character without having a past, and that's what makes him so mysterious. That's what makes him so dangerous, that we don't know. It's just not great, and the sequel is going to be horrible as well. Frozen 2, haven't seen it, and after hearing my opinions on the original Frozen, probably not going to watch it again. I want to see Super Mario Brothers movie. It looks great. I haven't seen it though yet. Spider-Man Far From Home is a fun movie. It's a great entertaining time. I love Mysterio. I just don't remember too much about it. When I watched it, it was a fun time. Spider-Man going on missions is fun. Of course, Mysterio reviewing himself as kind of a villain at the end is par for the course, but it's a fun time. I do like what they did with Mysterio overall. The Last Jedi, it's just not great. It really isn't. It's not a good movie at all. Avatar 2, definitely better than the first one, I think. I think it was a little overly long, but it was still a fun time nonetheless. I can't wait to see the third one after this. I just feel like, why did it take so long for this movie to come out? I can never answer that, to be honest. We're gonna put Avengers: Infinity War up there. Fantastic. It is such a great movie, and the best part about it is that Thanos wins. Thanos had to win in Infinity War so that the good guys can win in Endgame. And that's why I will put Endgame, because Endgame definitely isn't as good as Infinity War, but they're both great movies. They're both a part 1 and a part 2, so they both coexist with each other. We can't have one without the other. They both have their great moments. They both have their stupid moments. They both have their funny moments. But I think we can all agree that they're all timeless works of cinema, and they will always live on as that way. And it will remind us of the pinnacle that Marvel was at before it sank down to the depths that it currently stands right now. Marvel, please go back to this. Please go back to this someday. We need you to go back to this because you made good stuff. Stop with the woke stuff. I know that's just what you want to do. Go woke, go broke, and eventually croak. But please go back to this someday. Avengers, or Spider-Man No Way Home. I'm going to put this above here. I love the 3 Spider-Mans together. I love all the villains from all the past coming back. I love Jamie Foxx as the reimagined Electro. His Electro in this movie is much better than whatever we got in Amazing Spider-Man 2. Willem Dafoe being back is great. It's just a great time. All the Spider-Mans work well off each other. It's just a great movie overall. And last but not least, Top Gun Maverick. Timeless work, especially coming off of COVID. This movie is such a nostalgia movie for me. I remember watching Top Gun all the time as a kid. It's great. In this movie, again, Tom Cruise still P. Maverick Mitchell, still insubordinate, still doing whatever he wants, but still training the next generation to overcome an impossible mission. I love the scenes where he's shooting down all the top guys thinking that they're top shit, and he just absolutely destroys them. The mission at the end is fantastic, full of suspense. I love the cameo by Val Kilmer. It's a great send-off. Even though they kill off his character, it was good to see him as Iceman for one last time. Fun movie. Just John Hamm's character in this movie kind of sucks, having to be the ballbuster, but it's a fun movie. Great movie. Must watch if you have not seen it. And that is the breakdown of the best movies to ever crack $1 billion. Know what you think down in the comments below. Let me know how you would rank these movies. Let's have a nice discourse in the comments below. But have a great day, and as always, God bless.